Hey y'all, welcome to Kamira's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the most delicious, tender, slow cooker roast beef. Now this has a delicious gravy with all them spices that you guys love. Y'all, your family is going to go crazy for this. Let's go ahead and get cooking. I'm going to start off by making a flour dredge for the roast beef. So I'm going to put down a half of a cup of all-purpose flour, and I'm using a tray here just to make it easier to coat my beef. I'm going to season this, okay? This got to have flavor, y'all. So I have 2 tablespoons of onion powder. This was actually minced onion, but I just, grinded it in a coffee grinder. And then I have 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. I'm also going to use a teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of Sazon Tropical. So that is this seasoning right here. You could also use like Badia complete seasoning, just some sort of all-purpose seasoning. I'm going to mix everything together. Now you don't have to worry about losing any of this seasoning like to the pan or anything like that, because we're actually going to put all of this into the dinner meal, okay? In total, I have a little over 6 pounds of roast beef. So I have 2 of them. Y'all, I got this beef at a really good price. And so I'm going to just coat these with the flour mixture all over. Okay, this is going to help us get a good color on the meat and also just start to season the beef. When you are picking your beef, you want to try to pick some pieces that have some good marbling here. That's going to help your roast beef come out super juicy and tender. Okay, because nobody want no dry chuck roast. All right, we want it all to taste good. So definitely look for that fat, because that fat is flavor. Make sure you don't forget to hit up the sides. And when you are done, do not throw away the flour mixture. We are going to need the rest of that to make a gravy. Make sure you shake off any excess. I have preheated my pan on like a medium-high heat, and I'm going to add my olive oil. Now let's put this big daddy in here and get a good sear. I could do them one at a time, but y'all, I'm not about to do that today, okay? I'm just going to do them at the same time. They'll get seared enough. Everything shall work out, all right? Today's video is sponsored by Slots Cash. On days like today, where I am cooking and filming for long hours, I often want to get off my feet and relax. Now, I know y'all spend hours in the kitchen rolling that dough, but baby, take a break and win some real dough playing Slots Cash. Slots Cash is a skill-based game with real money prizes. So if you can build up your skills, you can win big. Unlike gambling, which is completely based on chance, you can actually control and pause each reel. So if you're fast, you can get more coin. I'm going to enter into one of the tournaments here, and that's one of the things I love about Slots Cash is that I can choose what tournament or what game I want to enter. Now, each one of these games is going to take a 1 minute or a little bit longer, and I'm just going to use a combination of stopping all the reels together or also doing them individually, trying to hone in my strategy so that I can win big. But this time, y'all, your girl was not ranked high, so I need to play a little bit more to up my strategy. But also, you can play for free in their practice rounds. Now you guys are going to love this game just as much as me, so I'm going to give you a free gift. If you use code Kamira1, you are going to get $5. Slots Cash is free to download and super fun to play. Whether you're a fan of hitting the casino or you enjoy winning real money from your phone, Slots Cash is the app for you. While my beef is finishing up browning, I'm going to prep some vegetables. So I'm going to be using 3 carrots, 2 stalks of celery, as well as 2 onions. Now guys, I don't want my carrots to be extremely mushy, even though they're definitely going to be soft from slow cooking for a long time. So I'm going to cut them into large chunks. probably about 2 to 3 inches. Now my celery and my onion, I want those to basically dissolve into the gravy, so I'm going to dice those up finely. At this point, my beef is thoroughly browned. Okay, so you know the flavor is about to be in that food. So I'm going to take the beef out and set it to the side on a tray while I make the gravy that goes on the beef. Now, y'all, I didn't even mean to put the carrots in here. I really like to add them to the crock pot directly, but since I put it in there, baby, it's not coming out. Okay, so I'm just going to saute it with that celery and onion for about 3 to 4 minutes until it has a nice color. Then I'm going to put in a tablespoon of fresh minced garlic. That's going to be about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. Allow that to saute for about 30 seconds or until you can really smell the garlic. Y'all, your house should smell delicious at this point. I'm going to sprinkle a little salt onto the veggies just to make sure they get a little flavor. And then I'm going to put in all of that seasoned flour. We are going to make the most delicious, highly flavored gravy for these chuck roasts with that seasoned flour, but you gotta toast out that flour taste or else it's going to taste way too raw. So I'm going to mix it around on all of the veggies, and not only is that going to help toast the flour, but it's going to help to prevent lumps, because if the flour is spread out on all the vegetables, when you start pouring in a little bit of beef stock, you're going to be able to easily make a gravy. I have 2 cups of just beef stock that I bought from the store. Of course, you could use beef bone broth. Oh my goodness, that would be so delicious. I personally do prefer to use the beef stock. I feel like it's a little bit richer, and the one I am using does not have any salt. If you use one with salt, of course, you just adjust the seasonings of your gravy to taste. Then I'm going to add in some dried thyme as well as a little bit of Maggi seasoning. This is comparable to soy sauce, probably has a little bit more of a deeper umami flavor though, but you can definitely just use soy sauce, and then a touch of browning and a tablespoon of beef bouillon powder. If you don't have the bouillon powder, you can certainly use the bouillon paste. Once my gravy had simmered for a minute or two, I felt it was just a wee bit too thick, so I went in with about half a cup more of my beef stock just to thin it out a touch. Okay, y'all, so these are my roast. Now, I actually should have added a bit of salt to them when I did the flour dredge, so I'm just going to add a little bit of salt now. Of course, there's a little salt in the gravy, but just going to make sure there's a little bit on the meat, okay? Now, the larger roast, I'm going to place that in the bottom of my crock pot first. This is a 6-quart crock pot, okay? I'm going to put that salted side down and then just add a little bit more salt. Now, in total, when it comes to cooking with like meat in general, you want about a teaspoon of salt per pound of meat. Most of the seasonings I've used don't have very much salt, so I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of salt in total to this whole dish. Of course, you can adjust it to your own taste. Now let's pour over that gravy. Just gonna spread it out to try to get it somewhat evenly covering the meat. But remember, the chuck roast is gonna release juices of its own while it is cooking. I have 2 bay leaves. I'm gonna tuck that into the gravy so that they can flavor that really well. I'm also going to be using some fresh rosemary. I mean, I could tell you this is optional, but is it? I mean, the freshness to me is very much needed in a roast, and it adds a great flavor, okay? So if you have it, definitely use it. Now, I have 1.5 pounds about, okay, of potatoes. These are just whole baby potatoes. I'm not gonna peel them or anything like that, though I did cut off a couple of bad spots. You can add however many can fit up in your crock pot, honey, okay? I'm actually not a big potato person, but y'all, the people I'm sharing this with love potatoes. So I'm gonna stack them in as much as I can. All right, I'm gonna cover this up, and I absolutely love having the locking lid for the crock pot. I just know it's gonna be secure, okay? It's gonna hold up on there. I'm going to cook this on low for 8 hours. With this amount of beef, it will basically be fork tender. It's not going to be mushy or falling apart. Now, if you like that really super tender chuck roast that is just falling apart and super soft, you may want to push it about 10 hours on low. But y'all, I don't know. It's a little too soft for me if it just go too long. All right. So at the 8 hour mark, I stuck in a chopstick and I saw not only did it go all the way through, but it just kind of had a little bit of give, but it wasn't tearing apart easily. You'll see what I'm saying here. The fork can pull it, but it's definitely still got a bite. So at this point, the roasts are perfect for me. Now, of course, the cook time will need to be adjusted based on how much food you are making. The potatoes were also nice and tender. However, there was just a lot of fat on the roast. Now, of course, y'all, you know I ain't afraid of no fat, baby. Okay, but there was just a little bit much. There's like a whole cup and a half of fat. So I'm just going to take away some of that and then just leave a little bit for some flavor in the gravy. Guys, you cannot tell me that this roast does not look delicious. I am actually going to take out the roast because y'all, I got to impress you. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of food styling. I also like to take out, of course, any of those rosemary twigs and whatnot that are in there. And if you need to, you can adjust the thickness of your gravy with a little bit of cornstarch. But for me, this was perfect. You may also want to shred your beef a bit so that it already gets inside of the gravy. That would be delicious. Please let me know if you are going to try this recipe, and when you do, let me know how much your family loves it. I'll see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye and God bless.